If you're watching this and read aloud today, make sure to go back and do reading first, or you'll miss a couple chapters because I put it into two subjects today. We're going to finish up the story here, chapters 23 and 24. I guess I was so busy making up the list that I missed the sound of footsteps because when the door suddenly opened next to my ear, I was taken totally by surprise. I lost my balance, fell headfirst into the classroom, tripped over the wastebasket, stumbled across the floor, and slid onto my butt right into my dad's feet. "Who's your daddy?" my father said. "No, Dad," I whispered. "That's number 8 on the list. You have to stop saying that now." "I'll try," he said, "but don't count on it." I looked over to see who had opened the door to the hallway. It was Principal Leland Love, the head honcho of PS 87. Oh boy, things must have been really bad to have that principal in my parent-teacher conference. "Hello, Principal Love," I said, pulling myself to my feet. "What are you doing lurking outside the door, young man?" he asked in his big, booming voice. Principal Love is a short man with a tall man's voice. Or should I do this voice? I should say, "What are you doing lurking outside the door, young man?" That's more of a booming voice. "I was listening, sir," I said. "And were you invited to listen?" he asked. Principal Love has this mole on his face that's shaped like the Statue of Liberty. When he's upset, his face twitches and the Statue of Liberty mole looks like it's doing the hula. She was dancing up a storm right then. "No, sir," I said. "Then why were you listening?" he demanded to know. "Because I wanted to," I answered. "After all, they're talking about me." I know this was a disrespectful thing to say, but I figured that as long as I was going to have to repeat 4th grade, I might as well go down in flames. "There are some things children should know," Principal Love said, "and some things they should not know. Do you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Zipzer?" "Not really, sir." "Well, then I'll say it again," he said. "There are some things children should know and some things they should not know. Now, do you understand?" Truth was, I understood the words, but I really didn't know what he meant. I think if someone knows something about me, then I should know it too. Principal Love is known for saying everything twice, but sometimes on special days, he's been known to say the same thing 3 times. In my state of mind, I didn't think I could survive that. So instead of arguing with him, I just nodded and said that now I understand everything clear as glass. He left. We all listened to his rubber-soled Velcro tennis shoes squeak down the linoleum hall until we couldn't hear them anymore. Well, there I was inside the classroom during a parent-teacher conference. Now what? I looked at the group sitting around Ms. Adolph's desk. I searched my mom's face to see any signs of bad news. She seemed tired. I looked at my dad, but he was busy looking over a stack of papers that looked like they were in my handwriting. I recognized my handwriting because it looked like it was written in Chinese, except it was in English. Ms. Adolph was holding a report and making marks on it with a red pencil. She was probably correcting her own report. She can't stop correcting papers, even when they're her own. She loves that red pencil. The only one who looked like she was interested in me was Dr. Berger. She was holding another one of her favorite coffee mugs. This one said, "Children are the future." That made me smile. She noticed and smiled back. "Hello, Hank," she said. "Would you like to sit down?" "Excuse me, Dr. Berger," Miss Adolph said, "but that's against the rules. This is a parent-teacher conference, not a child-teacher conference." "If it's all the same to you, Fanny, I think Hank made a very good point to Principal Love," Dr. Berger said. "He has the right to know what we're talking about. After all, it's his future we're discussing." Fanny? I had completely forgotten that Fanny was Miss Adolph's first name. You never think of your teachers as having first names. I always just assumed that everyone called her Miss Adolph, even her husband. I can hear him now. Nighty night, Miss Adolph. Happy anniversary, Miss Adolph. Give me a little kiss, Miss Adolph. Yuck, Hank. Stop your brain before you throw up. Ordinarily, the word Fanny would have made me laugh my head off, but I was too scared to laugh. Not at a time like this. Not at a time when my whole fifth grade life was at stake. I suddenly became aware of the fact that my heart was beating really fast and I was starting to sweat. Dr. Berger pulled up a chair for me, but I didn't sit down. It looked like it was tilted. It looked like it was tilted, the chair. I looked at Miss Adolph's desk, and it seemed tilted too. As a matter of fact, the whole room looked like it was at an angle. I wonder how all the adults were sitting upright in their chairs and not sliding into the wall when the room was almost sideways. Sit down, I heard Miss Adolph say, but boy, did her voice sound weird. It sounded like her words were trying to push her through thick, gooey maple syrup to get to my ear, like the way the mutant moth sounded in The Moth That Ate Toledo, just after he swallowed the potion that made him turn into his baby larva state instead of furry cocoon. In case you haven't seen The Moth That Ate Toledo, let me just tell you, that is the scariest part. And you may want to cover your eyes when it comes on. Everyone was waiting for me to sit down and say something. If you don't mind, I'll stand, I said. My voice sounded weird to me too, like it was coming out of a loudspeaker at Shea Stadium where the Mets play. What's going on with me? I was seeing funny, hearing funny. My heart was beating a mile a minute like it does when I'm really scared on a roller coaster. Wait a minute, Hank. That's it. You're scared. Scared of what they're going to say about you. My father got up, pushed the chair under me, and said, Chill, little dude. Take a load off your souls. Maybe that's not really my dad. Maybe my real father is still on a tour with Stone Cold Rock, and this guy is from another dimension, a duplicate dad who looks like mine, but isn't. Dr. Berger was looking at me over the top of her glasses. Her glasses have lavender lenses, so you're not sure if they're sunglasses or real glasses. She says she likes them because they're smooth. They smooth the rough edges from the world. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sure sounds great. Hank, Dr. Berger said. Thank goodness her voice started sounding normal. I noticed I was holding my breath, waiting for the rest of her sentence to come out. I heard Frankie in my mind saying, breathe, breathe. But I absolutely couldn't. Do you have something you'd like to ask us? She said. Just one question, I said. And only one. Suddenly, it came blurting out of my mouth. I had to say it as fast and get it over with. Am I going to be left back? I asked. Should we wait until Tuesday to finish the rest? Nah, let's finish it. Chapter 24. It seemed like forever until somebody finally said something. Why wasn't anybody answering me? It was obvious. They didn't know how to break the bad news. Please, I heard myself saying, I'm begging you, don't do it. It would be horrible. I'd be so embarrassed. I couldn't show up for school ever again. Everybody would be talking about me. Hank, the stupid loser, the moron, the kid who will never get out of fourth grade. I really do try. I did well on the test about the Hopi Indians. Doesn't that count for anything? I'll try harder. I promise. I'll make my brain do what it doesn't want to do, honestly. Suddenly, I felt my mom's arm around me. Normally, I don't allow public displays of affection, but this felt awfully good. It's okay, honey, my mom said. We haven't decided to hold you back. You haven't? Even though holding you back is not the worst idea in the world, Miss Adolph said, we are thinking about recommending that you go to summer school instead. Hank, Dr. Berger said, taking off her glasses, we believe that for you to be successful in fifth grade, you need to strengthen your basic skills in math and reading comprehension. She made some sense. I had to give her that. Math and reading are not exactly my strong points. Because of your learning challenges, if you are going to succeed in school, you're going to have to be willing to put in some extra time, Dr. Berger went on. Are you down with that, Hank? My dad asked. If it meant I could go to fifth grade and be with Frankie and Ashley, I'd be down with anything. Sure, Dad, I'm down with that. It's not even funny. The summer school class is small, so you'll be able to get a lot of extra attention and individual instruction, Dr. Berger said. You mean all I have to do is go into the fifth grade is to go to school this summer? I asked. Dr. Berger nodded. I felt like jumping up and down and screaming at the top of my lungs. Cool, I said instead. Where do I sign up? Wait a minute. I'm agreeing to go to summer school? I can't believe I just heard myself say that. Hank, shut up before you volunteer to write an extra credit book report on why the Japanese people like blowfish. We want to give you every opportunity to succeed, Hank, Dr. Berger said. I thought you were going to make me repeat the fourth grade, I said. I know that both you and your friend Bernice were worried about that, Dr. Berger said, but I want you to know that we're on your side. We're all here to help you. But what about the brown envelope, the one that said I was going to be held back? You mean this one? My dad said, taking the brown envelope out from under all my papers he held on his lap. It was full of samples of your tests and homeworks from this year. That's all? Then I don't hate you anymore, brown envelope. Your papers are full of spelling errors, Hank, my dad said, shaking his head. Looks like you gave Miss Adolph's red pencil a real workout. Perhaps I should give her one of my mechanical ones. He reached into his pocket of his leather pants and pulled out a shiny silver mechanical pencil. Then he twisted it so a thin, smooth piece of lead popped up from the point. He handed it to Miss Adolph. You can keep it, my dad said. I have a whole collection of them. Would you like it, Miss Adolph? Hold on to your hats for this one. Miss Adolph actually smiled. And not that little snarky thing she does in class, but a big, wide grin. Then she said, I'm down with that. We all laughed. I felt like a 5-ton sack of smelly socks had been lifted off my back. I promise you guys that I'll work hard in summer school. I said, I'll do all my math and I'll read the dictionary and I'll learn lots of new vocabulary words. In fact, I'd like to start with now. How about the word redo? I thought that meant do over, but maybe I was wrong. You were quite right, Miss Adolph said. I often use the word redo to indicate things that I need to correct. For example, Henry, I sometimes write it in my roll book to indicate a certain report card I need to rewrite because I did a messy job on it. Really? I asked. That's why you write redo? Somehow I feel you may have run across the use of that word recently, Miss Adolph said. Didn't you, Henry? I have to confess, I said, looking into her gray face. I did recently run across the word. There it was. I knew she knew I looked at her roll book. What was she going to do with that little piece of information? That will be another conversation, Henry, that you and I will have in private. Let me just say that it appears that you will have the opportunity to improve your reading comprehension before the summer begins, perhaps in some after-school sessions with me, shall we say? I may not be smart in a lot of things, but one thing I've gotten really good at is the ability to sniff out a punishment. And to me, that sounded like detention. I'll bet you $5 that I'm going to be getting to do that extra credit book report on why the Japanese like blowfish way sooner than I had thought. But hey, at least I'm going to fifth grade next year. Hank Zipzer, fifth grader. That sounds great. Oh, yeah. The end.